Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks to all the organizers, and thank you for having me here. My name is Ivailo, and I'm today presenting for Founder Institute. Oh, come on. Okay. Founder Institute is my recent endeavor. I just become one of the directors for Eastern Europe. And that's a pro bono position, by the way. So everything I do for them, with them, and what I say today is because I firmly believe in it. It's not some sort of marketing exercise. I'll just give you a few words about myself, so you can check my credibility and to decide if you believe me or not. Meanwhile, I will just leave some statistics here for you to absorb. So I started my first business maybe 25 years ago. I created a software development house, and it went very well. It's still going. And after that, I created several spin-offs from that company. So the topic here is very familiar for me, and I lived it. I know how painful it is. I know how difficult it can be. I know how long it is, and what are the shortcuts to make it successful, and what are the mistakes you make to fail. And the most important thing is that you have to turn somebody with an idea to a fundable startup. We're going to be talking about this a lot. So I repeat again, somebody with an idea, one guy, two guys. The idea is not very important. The guys are. How do you take those guys and turn them into an investable structure? That's the main question. And this is where Founder Institute excels. These are the statistics. And you can see here, there were about 70,000 applicants in the world for the past 13 years to the Founder Institute. Again, 70,000. 6,000 of those finished the program. You can see less than 10% of those that apply finish the program. So it's not an easy program. Those guys raised from investments almost $2 billion. 95 countries in the world. A huge network of mentors, 25,000 and more. And this is an independent accelerator, which means it is self-funded. It is not backed by any government. It's not backed by any institution. It is just those guys doing the work for themselves. How do they succeed where everybody else fails? And just a few more info about the successes. Those are all companies that are alumni of Founder Institute. All those are graduates. You can see big names here, Udemy, for example. Interesting valuations as well. Those are some of our partners. Founder Institute is unique in another thing. It is open to partnership, meaning all our knowledge, all our know-how, all our processes are available for third parties to use. Of course, terms and conditions apply, but they are available. So the right way of building an accelerator is with Founder Institute, as far as I know. And again, those are the numbers. But what are the key points? What makes Founder Institute really unique? First, it's the positioning. We are one of the few accelerators that are pre-seed. For those guys that just have an idea and nothing more, and we take them to the point where they can get their first investment. After that, there are other people. We partner with them. We don't compete with them. That's a unique positioning, and a lot of people are trying to live in that space. Not a lot are successful. Not a lot are sustainable. And this is the essence of our approach. First, We find great people, and that sounds wrong, sounds cheesy, sounds like a marketing term, but it's not. There is science behind that. You probably heard of this guy called Jordan Peterson, one of the great minds of this generation in terms of clinical psychology. He developed the Big Five, the Ocean psychometrical system, and he helped Founder Institute design a test. It's called a Founder DNA. So everyone that comes to us, he passes a test, and the test says, are you the type of person that is likely to succeed in a startup situation or not? For example, there are traits like openness and agreeableness. And statistics say that when you have high marks in openness, it's a good thing. For example, this means you have to be open to new ideas, to feedback, to whatever changes occur around you. But in agreeableness, you have to have mid-level ranks. If you're too high on agreeableness, then you cannot fight with all the obstacles that we'll meet as a startup. So, therefore, our Founder DNA, it's a psychometric system. It's a formal test that you take. It's a very quick one, 30 minutes or a little bit more. And it costs very little, but it gives a reliable indication of that person's chance to become a successful startupper. And that's a thing that pretty much nobody has, because we have 70,000 people that took that test and 6,000 that graduated, which means we have enough data to do the proper calculations to train the model. Nobody else has that. And that's how we find good founders. Because at the end of the day, it all starts with people, not great ideas. It's great people. That's what Founder Institute found out after many years. And then after you found the great people, you create for them a support system. There is this saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It's the same with startups. It takes an ecosystem to raise a startup. We have a huge network of mentors. We have in every local chapter between 25 and 50 active people that actually help everyone, and they do help. I've seen that. I've been mentoring for that organization for 5 years, and I see how they actively help startups. You can imagine that when you're a startup, you can call the phone, or you can take the phone and just ask a stupid question to somebody knowledgeable. That's rare. That's not difficult to achieve. There are processes for that. And third, and most important, it is hard. This system is not for everyone. We actively structure the information that they have to absorb, and we push them and give them real world tasks in order to make them form a real startup at the end. This is just a glimpse of what the topics inside are, starting from vision and validation, go-to-market, legal, IP, etc., etc., etc. It's all very well structured, but structure and content is one, and the next is we actively push those guys to make the effort. Each week, they have to pitch in front of mentors. They have grades every day pretty much, and they can drop out of the program. No more than 40% of the guys that come in graduate. That's by design. So this is a hard program. It pushes you. And in my opinion, this is the key. This is one of the few programs that, instead of giving you the resources and the environment around you, actively pushes you to do something for your business. That's unique. So my call to action here is simple. We are very open to do partnerships. We can partner with corporations exactly for doing spin-offs. We can partner with academia to identify potential areas for spin-offs, and we can partner with government when they try to do acceleration. And just before I say goodbye, I want to highlight something. We did a partnership like that with NASA. NASA is partnering with Founder Institute to identify spin-offs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivo. Always inspirational. So thank you for the great insight for the entrepreneurship spirit. And now our program continues with additional very interesting discussion here on site. In this purpose, I want to invite on the stage Teodora Zhilkova, who is one of the founders of the Health and Life Science Cluster Bulgaria, member of the management board. She is founder of Cluster Veritas, Bulgarian Congress Bureau, many heads, similar like me. So Teodora joined next to me to the stage. Teodora will moderate the third panel of the part community builders, and the topic will be focused on clusters. So Teodora, thank you for your support, counting on you. So the stage is yours to represent the speakers.
Thank you very much, Chrissy. And it's really a real pleasure to be here today. I remember the Congress Center a few years ago, just before the opening. So the plans were huge to start planning and organizing important B2B events. So thank you for organizing, initiating this conference. So I would like to welcome back on the stage Daniela Chonkova. She was already here earlier today, who is the EN Bulgaria coordinator, as well as program manager at Applied Research and Communications Fund. And also in this panel with us will be Petko Georgiev, who is the chair of the chairman of Southeast Digital Innovation Hub. So I think the other panelists had some logistic problems, and it will be a pleasure to talk to share the thoughts with you. So our panel, as was discussed, you have microphones. It was discussed that we are talking about community builders, and we will talk about how clusters are helping to build a community, for which community helper clusters are helping. And so we will talk about innovative clusters. So I'll give you the chance with a couple of sentences to present yourself and how you're connected, your business life is connected with the clusters. And from there, we will see how to continue. So Dani, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Teodora. Well, I already had a presentation in the morning session, but just a couple of words about the organization that I work with. It is the Applied Research and Communications Fund. It's a not-for-profit research organization that is one of the leading NGOs in the field of innovation, delivering support to SMEs at micro level, and also making a lot of innovation analysis at macro level. And one of the flagship report that we do, that some of you may be familiar with, is the Innovation.bg report, which makes an assessment of the innovation performance of the Bulgarian economy.
I think there is another microphone over there. Yes.
Thank you, Teddy. First, I would like to welcome everyone here in our beautiful city of Burgas. As many events as this as possible in the Congress Center will be great for the ecosystem. I have the pleasure to be the chairman of the board of the Southeast Digital Innovation Hub, which received a seal of excellence in the last call, and hopefully will start executing our project over the next year. Also, I am a chairman of the ICT cluster in Burgas, which is the youngest but most dynamic ICT cluster in Bulgaria. We already have more than 30 members in our digital ecosystem, and we are open for different opportunities with other clusters. We are presented in the European cluster collaboration platform. Actually, it will sound a little maybe unhumble, but in the southeastern region of Bulgaria, we are the only cluster that is positioned, recognized, and registered in the platform. That's pretty much it for us.
Yes, so thank you for these opening words. I mean, we know each other very well, and we know each other through the clusters. So this is, I mean, the first answer, I think, how clusters are helping to build a community, because knowing each other through the clusters activities, we are already kind of, though representing different sectors, we kind of working towards being a community. Daniel, would be interesting to know, because with your work with Enterprise European Network, from your perspective, how clusters are helping their, I mean, their members, and to not within the cluster, but also creating different communities, using, for example, the network of Enterprise European Network.
Maybe Dani, if you allow me to
Yes, please.
to just enter a few words here. As a cluster, I can share one experience that we had in 2020, when were the hardest COVID times. We had one company. It's a software development company. They do PHP scripts for web developers, and they work worldwide. They contacted us with the requirement of option to sell their business to foreign investors. We did a few negotiations with companies from the States, also from Estonia, and last year they managed to sell their business to one Estonian investors. And the reason I'm saying is that we did this before being a part of the Enterprise Europe network. And now, after we are part of the Enterprise Europe network and shared the database with more than 5,000 opportunities that are presented from the network, now the number of that type of requests of our members is increased many times. So that's maybe one of the major activities of the clusters, to be part of networks like EEN, so they can offer many more opportunities to the members.
You kind of answered to my second question, but I'll still want to hear.
Yes, well, on the one thing, this is how the network enables and enhances building international partnerships. But getting back to how clusters contribute to this community building, clusters, we have over 10 years of experience in working with clusters, even nearly 15, when these were only emerging structures at that time, back in time. The cluster itself, it implies for having different types of organizations working together. So normally it would it would bring together businesses, it would connect them with research institutes or research organizations. It would also have in its structure non-for-profit organizations, some analytical research think tanks, so that it basically, it's the cluster itself is a community of different types of stakeholders. Quite often the clusters have this geographical proximity, and they're also well connected with the regional authorities, with the municipalities, with the regional governments. The idea of the clusters is to optimize the resources, the performance, the capacity of the companies involved in the cluster. For instance, when there is a big offer, big request from a company that cannot be taken, cannot be implemented by one single SME in Bulgaria, normally it shares its resources with other similar SMEs, and in this way they, on the one hand, respond successfully to this big contract that is the demand side, and on the other hand, it's they're no longer competitors while doing this contract. then at a later stage, of course, they may become again competitors if they manage to perform individually. But in Bulgaria, in the past 10, 15 years, many clusters were established. They were like mushrooming because at that time it was very attractive to apply for cluster funding, for this grant funding, and many of them we had an analysis, a research that we made. Many of them did not survive after the grant was over, after the contract was over, which is normal. The ones that are successful and still performing are the ones that were business driven, set up on the basis of business intercluster interaction. And they only had this grant support as an additional support, as an added value coming from the operational programs, but not the driver behind the cluster. So whenever it's business driven or research driven, it stays vital over time. So this is how it's, on the one hand, helps to build regional communities. On the other hand, it itself is a result of the interaction within a community of various types of stakeholders.
Yes, thank you. And Petko, when it comes, because you're also representing a cluster, but correct me if I'm wrong, the cluster is part of the digital hub, right?
Yes.
So for example, where do you see, is the digital hub like another umbrella for the platform for the SMEs and the different stakeholders which are part? So is it, do you see it as a different type of community? What is basically, can you give?
Well, if I turn back the time, it was 6 years ago since we created the ICT cluster here in Burgas with the idea to unite the IT companies in one cluster. And 2 years ago, when we created the Digital Innovation Hub, the idea of the Southeast Digital Innovation Hub was to unite the active players in the ecosystem in the southeastern region and in Burgas in general, which included the municipality of Burgas, the industrial and logistic park, the 2 universities that we have here, and the ICT cluster as part of the ecosystem. So if we say that the digital hub is an umbrella, yes, it's the unity that combines the whole ecosystem.
Yes, it's like a platform again, basically, you to kind of stay connected and to even find solutions to work towards different projects and ideas.
Absolutely. But the companies that are presented in the ICT companies that are presented in the ICT cluster, they are the same and in the hub as well, so part of the ecosystem.
And one question, because Danny referred to the times when the clusters start operating here on the market, because it would be good to touch the point in the time frame that we have to talk about the innovative cluster. But do you feel first, before talking about the innovative cluster, do you think there is a good understanding about what is a cluster here on the market? And do you feel that the companies and the different players understand how stronger and what basic is the added value of going together, creating a cluster or creating a different hub? I mean, we are not going in so depth in that, but then we will jump on the innovative cluster, because to be innovative, I mean, first you should understand the first point of.
Well, I'm now thinking of an example to answer with, like a showcase. In the past, one of the most popular clusters, that whenever one hears a cluster, it comes to one's mind that it's, for instance, the automobile cluster, because it has the central big enterprise that is producing the automotive products, the automobiles, but then it has all over very different in size and in subject of activity, in area of activity, different companies all around. In Bulgaria, a company that is called Spesima, in some years ago, maybe 10 years ago, It needed something to innovate because it was facing like some difficulties in the market performance. And what they did is they started re-engineering, doing re-engineering in their activities. They started buying the robots from the automotive industry, from the automotive cluster, for instance, in Germany, the robots that are in the Mercedes, for instance, company, these robots are used for not more than 2 years. Afterwards, even though they're working, they're just taken out of the production line and new ones are introduced. And what this Bulgarian company did is to buy these robots here, to do re-engineering and design a completely new application of the robots using only the mechanical construction, but then programming the robot and then doing all the software and the application completely new. And in this way, they started making a lot of new products and diversified their production. When thinking about clusters, it is always an opportunity that one company may see being part of a cluster in interacting with all the others. And again, the added value that we often see is that sometimes when competing companies see joint opportunities, they join their efforts and then they start working together, which adds value to their capacity.
Yes, that's perfectly answered the question. And Petko, would you like to add something? Because I will give another example, which basically even competing companies, when they're jointly together within a cluster, they become stronger, more competitive, but there is a real chance to take new business, which is good for everyone, because no matter that it's competing, when there is a business opportunity, more SMEs and actors are benefiting.
And this is how actually the innovation happens, because all these companies together in the cluster, they stimulate the development of new technologies, they accelerate learning, and this is the right formula for the innovation to happen. So I think that this is what makes the cluster innovation cluster.
Yes, and also within the cluster participation of the universities and research centers, basically, this is actually also helping, not also, but this is basically helping to the exchange of the knowledge and to go further. A similar example of yours that you give, I mean, Chris earlier presents me that apart from the clusters, I'm also leading the Bulgarian Convention Bureau, and every convention bureau, it's a pure format of a cluster, because you have the different players from one ecosystem, for example, convention center, hotels, service providers. So when all these players together apply, for example, to bring one international event in the country, for bringing the international event, benefits the conference center, but then benefits the hotels, the catering companies, the audiovisual companies, and make popular the city, which without the help of the municipality, it will not be shown in the best possible way. So actually from one project, the event, everyone from this benefits, which is exactly happening in every cluster activity.
It is actually taking, the note on this. It is actually the complementarity within the cluster that makes it strong. Quite often, because you asked whether there's a common understanding of what a cluster is. Quite often, people associate it with or think that a cluster is an association of given businesses. Associations are different things. Associations are alliances of businesses in a given sector, some kind of a branch alliances, while the clusters are more alliances of different types of organizations that complement each other, and each one is adding value to the overall performance of the cluster. So that's the big difference between associations and clusters, which are often mixed.
And because you, Petko mentioned as well that it's driving the innovation. So can we talk about innovative clusters? Is it fine for us to talk about that?
Of course.
Okay. So
I think over these couple of days, yesterday and today, innovation is one of the most often words
used here. So what are, Petko, maybe you would like to say a few words? Where?
Like I said, you need the right formula to create the innovation. Innovation is like water; it finds its path on its own. But once you have all the different ingredients in the ecosystem, the universities, the companies, the labs, and that's how you actually stimulate the creation of innovation. That's how you stimulate the development of the new technologies, and this is the way the innovation is born. So maybe this is what every cluster needs in order to become innovative.
And do you think that there is a change of the tools? For example, what tools you use to connect with, for example, the members? How important is basically to keep them informed, because also they're part of these ingredients. Because if the core is not strong, then I mean it's difficult to go for the innovation. So on a daily life.
Well, it's a big toolkit. It's a big toolkit in the cluster, but maybe the most important tools in the toolkit, it's first of all the sharing of knowledge, the sharing of resources, the sharing of experience. Either it is good or bad. The access to funding is something that it's crucial for all of the members. The facilitating contacts, connecting the companies with the municipality, with the science research centers, universities. This is also maybe one of the most important tools.
And Dani, through the network of EEN, is it well understood as well how basically the SMEs clusters and the different organizations can make the best out of staying connected or using the platform of EEN?
Yes, the network is organizing a lot of matchmaking events, business to business, but also cluster to cluster events where clusters can meet. It is not a requirement there to have only the cluster as a legal entity. It is not restricted only to clusters, but normally clusters with their administrative body, with their management, together with many companies from the cluster, meet there and build either partnerships or industrial partnerships or joint research projects. Because when clusters get together, they have much higher capacity to compete at the level of at the level of the European Union for big research or innovative projects, and they have the potential to use all the knowledge within the cluster from the research institutes, from the companies, from the small ones, from the bigger ones that are clustering all the others around the bigger ones. So the network is helping both companies and clusters to build international partnerships.
Yes, I would say as a conference organizer, as a person who deeply believes in the events, I would say that I preach all businesses, SMEs, clusters to basically use the platform, to be part, to recognize what the meaning of being part of a network. And when going to events like this, the conference, every conversation can be turned to a potential partnership. It's extremely important to go to the matchmaking events and to try to understand what is who is this business partner, what they can bring on the table, because the communication, and that part of the communication is extremely important to drive innovation and to share experience and values. So I would like to ask you, probably as a final question, what is the key success factors for effective clustering?
Well, if I have to think of successful clustering and key factors, maybe it's three factors that came up in my mind. First of all, that we mentioned previous, it's the sharing. It's the most important thing when you are part of an ecosystem or when you are part of cluster. It's the sharing. Either you will share your resources, knowledge, experience. The first thing you have to do is to be able to share. The second, this is the integrity. Because yes, we are colleagues in the clusters, but at the same time, we are competitors as well. So we have to have this integrity. And maybe the third thing is unity, because only united we can stand strong. And if you, since we are in Burgas and we are based on the sea coast, if you allow me to make one marine slang, if we take a look at the ecosystem and the cluster as one shipyard, where we have different wooden boards, nails, instead of each one of us trying to create a small boat or a raft, we have to act as one and build one big ship that can resist a stronger waves and stormy winds and reach safer and faster to the final destination and to the final shore. Maybe that's a successful clustering.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could draw 3 success factors from my experience in working with the clusters. Number one is the trust among all the participants in the cluster. Number 2 is the intercluster interaction and collaboration. So not just a bunch of organizations, but rather ones that are having businesses that are interacting in between and having contracts, be it research contracts or business ones. And the third one is to be proactive. I can maybe give again an example with the Enterprise Europe Network. It's a network that cannot guarantee that whatever support we provide, it will lead to a result. But the network provides opportunities, and it is up to the companies and to the clusters to be proactive and seek and grasp the best opportunities, and out of several of them to get a successful contract. So being proactive is very, very important, and then looking out for all the opportunities provided by the Enterprise Europe Network, by the network of digital innovation hubs. All that is out there, it will not come by itself. It is the other way around, bottom up. It's the companies and the clusters that need to grasp the opportunities to translate it into practical success.
Yes, and I will basically, to summarize what just been said, it is extremely important to be proactive. Even we've seen it now being at the coffee break and during the lunch. If you want to make new connections, you need to be proactive. So for the SMEs and for the clusters, I would summarize that they should be looking for the opportunities on the different networks to see what's available and happening on a daily basis and weekly on Enterprise European Network, as well as European Cluster Collaboration Platform, because they can find there a lot of new members. They see the open projects, the different missions and matchmaking events. Trust is extremely important, because not only when we have, if we are partners, competitors, I mean, to stay on one boat, we should trust and also to share values. So thank you very much. I know that we are a bit
Thank you.
pressed with the time, so we try to keep it short, but thank you very much for being together on the stage.
Thank you, Teddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you as well.
Hello, thank you also from my side. We are straight continuing with the next presentation and the next panel, which is also in the terms of ecosystems, but on a more international level, pan-European ecosystems and their role, how they can influence, support, regulate innovation, and the topic of spin-offs. Here we have representatives from Austria, Clemens Wasner, Andy Bleeden from Edge Alliance, Montse Daban, Biocat, Bioregion of Catalonia, Maria Bonani Institute of Entrepreneurship and Development, Benjamin Tallinn from Modern Digital. I'm not sure if he's here, we will see. So I would like to check, is Clemens already online?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Nice to have you here. Can we see him? Or Clemens, do you have a presentation, or do you want to talk?
I can make this via talking. I think that's easier. Also better for the discussion later on. Yes,
it's okay. Yeah, now we can see you. Yeah, I would like you to start a little bit of a short introduction. I know you have many hats, but your main activity is in the field of artificial intelligence, or one of your main activities. So maybe a short introduction from yourself, and a little bit also a little bit on insight on the European AI Forum, where AI Austria, which you're president and co-founder, AI Bulgaria are also part of, and also the role of ADRA, what it is, how the pan-European ecosystem interact, what are the benefits of them. So I would ask you for a short introduction of yourself and these organizations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for throwing the ball to me. So yeah, let's start with the easy part, with the self-introduction. My name is Clemens Wasner. I'm the founder of an AI startup in Austria. We're like sort of an old startup. We founded in 2017. And at the same time, as Carl-Johan mentioned, the founder of the Austrian AI Association called AI Austria, which is also on this t-shirt. Before that, and I think that's sort of relevant for the context today, I spent more than 10 years in Asia. I was 7 years in Japan and 3 years in China between 2006 and 2016. And this was definitely one of the driving forces that brought me into AI again, because back then in the old times, I was studying computer science, but then I switched it to a different area. But seeing how Asian economies, how East Asian politics and decision makers and research institutions, how they dealt with the topic of artificial intelligence, how they made it a central part of policy and industrial programs, was really an eye-opening event for me, because at that time, thinking of 2014 and 15, there was not so much especially positive resonance to this topic within Europe. So once I returned to Europe in 2016, it was quite clear that I want to go the technical route again and do something with AI. And this is how in 2017, both the company and the association was formed. Regarding the other, let's say, organizations and setups and events that Carl-Johan mentioned, cross-border collaboration was, I mean, it's for me, it was sort of natural, because first of all, I was coming from abroad after 10 years. Second, Austria is a relatively small country. It's not relatively, it is a small country, just 9 million people. So if you want to make a cross-border initiative on a European level, or if you want to make a a large event with an international impact, it was logical that you cooperate with other, let's say, with either with other nonprofits or with other countries as such. And so we started actually together with Kaloyan and Christina from the AI Cluster Bulgaria in 2019, a format that was called Borderless AI, where, for example, we invited representatives from the city of Vienna and the city of Sofia for an exchange what is going on in the respective cities, like investments in science, business initiatives, EU programs, and so on. And yeah, to cut this short, over time, we found like-minded organizations, which now total 10 or 11, and we formed the European AI Forum, which is now one of the largest events for decision makers. We host this twice a year. We regularly welcome their EU commissioners, ministers from the 27 member states, secretaries, like for digitalization and so on. So it's quite high level. And I could say, because the topic that you also had in the previous session, like clusters and international network, I think one clear benefit I see of an organization like the European AI Forum is that you get the critical mass to really discuss from a startup and business community level how regulation should be shaped. Because very often, if a new regulation is put in place, you would read in the newspapers, yeah, the big companies did lobbying. Just think of the large US IT corporations. But afterwards, it is always framed in a way that Europe didn't really have its say. And we found out that the organization like the European AI Forum is really a pretty strong leverage in that regard, because we are just so large. So it's just so incredibly large if you put all these organizations together. Yeah, coming, let's say, to the last part of this relatively long introduction, Kaloyan also mentioned ADRA. This is the AI Data and Robotics Association. This is one of around approximately 15 public-private partnerships which have been initiated by the European Commission and which are now running for 7 years. The goal of ADRA is to build, first of all, to be central in, to operationalize the digital agenda and the digital strategy of the EU in the field of AI data and robotics. And to fulfill this, the task is to define projects which will be later handled mostly via Horizon calls, with a sum of up to 2.6 billion euros. Yeah, this is like in a very nutshell. ADRA was formed last year. That's why perhaps you haven't heard so much about it, but this will now dramatically increase. How can you envision what ADRA is doing? The European Commission is preparing its working program always in 2-year steps. So the next 2 years slices are 23 and 24. And if the Commission now wants to put a special focus, let's say AI on energy security or trustworthy AI, they typically have a regular exchange with the respective PPPs to talk what should be written in the working program and what should later on be implemented via a Horizon call. So ADRA, so to say, if you leave the national governments aside, is basically the only direct way that you have to interact, let's say, as an AI company or as a research institution with the EC. So ADRA works via memberships. It's if you know previous public-private partnerships like EU robotics, you probably know the drill. It's based on a membership. The work there happens along working groups, and it is really important to stress that irrespective of the size of your organization, if you're part of a working group and you're part of ADRA, you have direct access to the EC to present your standpoints, because it's not like the vice presidents of ADRA would present the results all by themselves. This is really happening from the working groups with the responsible people at the EC. And Yeah, I think this brings me to the end of the introduction. I especially look forward to the discussion with the other panelists and to my great host. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clemens. Always, as usual, inspirational. I want to share with our audience that actually, thanks to you, thanks to your effort, thanks to your inspiration, the Bulgarian AI Quizzer become part of the pan-European AI and robotic ecosystem. For sure, great things will coming up from this collaboration. In the morning session, we share with a representative of the European Parliament about our organization, about our plans, and it's happened that we face a really strong support. And for sure, we are only one step to create probably the biggest AI and robotic ecosystem. And thanks again for your support in all time, because we were 3 years ago like babies, but now we are walking and running quite wildly. Now I want to invite on the stage, of course, to joining us Montse de Ban, who is representing BioCat, bioregion of Catalonia, and Inaxe. I think that more female on the stage will be quite pretty to have. Until while she coming next to us on the stage, of course, it's time for me to provide the word to Andy Bleeden from Edge Alliance. We're starting with the hugest, actually, life sciences and health network and communication. So, Andy, can you hear us? Oh, well.
I sure can. The trouble is, sometimes I find it hard to press the unmute button, and even harder to press the mute button. So it's nice to meet you. And
nice to see you. Yeah. Okay, Andy, please share with our audience, of course, what the Edge Alliance do and what are the profit of being part of such a huge network. And of course, we'll appreciate if you share with us some of the future upcoming plans of the network, because I know the program is quite intense.
If your technical people can let me share my screen, I'll share some slides. I don't know if that's possible. Whilst there's some panic looks, I'll wait and talk a little bit about what we do. And then
the colleagues, yeah, we see the presentation.
Ah, wonderful. Okay, now then, let's skip through to the next slide straight away. Because the good news is you can see these, but I can't because I haven't got my glasses on. And if I put my glasses on, I can't see you. So I have to guess which slide we're up to and where we're up to. Just a little bit about us. For those people who don't know us, my name's Andy Bleeden and I work for the ECH Alliance. We're a member organisation. What that means in practice is many of our members who are there today already are members of us. Many of those are not-for-profits. Many of the speakers today are also members of us. So we're a wider network and a global network, not focused on one country. We also have a large network of people who are part of our community we've set up all over the globe, about 23,000 people now, with about 940 member organizations, including, I'm proud to say, Christina and the ecosystem there in Bulgaria. We bring our members together in a network of ecosystems all over the globe, which I shall show you in a moment. And we're proud that Bulgaria is part of that network. And it's really important because that's the way we connect up need and solution across the globe. We do many other things that you can see in front of you, but I think today what's important is to see where we can start to connect up some dots with spin-ups and startups there in Bulgaria with the rest of the globe. As I said, we're a member organisation. We go on to the next slide. You'll see why people join us. Many reasons. All the classic things you get from being in a member organisation: speaking slots, discount tickets, funding alerts, etc. But also the chance to promote your organisation, whether you're a for-profit or a not-for-profit, because we want to see both need and solution. Okay, and we match those together in what we call our intelligence network, which is our ecosystem network. Joining us means that you're able not just to talk within Bulgaria, but to use that soft landing zone, but in other countries. Our concept of ecosystems is very basic, which I'll talk about in a moment. But by becoming a member of us, you're becoming one of those other dots that we've got. We're a connector, so we connect up the dots in digital health. Let's go on to the next slide and talk about our ecosystems. We have a very non-complex idea about ecosystems. So you're not going to hear me today talk about ecosystem 4.2 or any of that rubbish. I don't believe in it. Ecosystems should be simple, I think. They should be multi-stakeholder. They should be permanent, with regular gatherings, bringing all the stakeholders of health together, leading with need first. That's important for us. Matching need and solution, breaking down silos, transforming healthcare, but also creating economic opportunity. So there's a place at the table for patients and companies, startups and third sector. But we bring those together on a regular basis and get international collaboration between what is now a growing network of ecosystems. We're going to the next slide. You'll see where some of those are. And some of the speakers today actually work within some of those networks as well. So we've got ecosystems in countries ranging from Argentina all the way across to Australia and all the ways in between. We're opening up new ecosystems in Africa. These are new opportunities for our members, new opportunities to scale up and go into new markets. We're really proud that we've got a bustling, busy network of ecosystems, especially in Central and Eastern Europe. And that matters because what we're able to do is to transform and promote what's great and good around subjects like AI, you heard Clemens talk about, but also with Christina's group. Not just across Bulgaria, not just across Central Europe, but across all of these networks of ecosystems. So Christina's been very, 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 very kind to present to and with our ecosystems around the globe. But these are great points of collaboration and soft landing zones for you if you join our network. Because these ecosystems like to collaborate. They share best practice and need across each other too. Because they also see the benefit for their members. Their versions of the Bulgarian cluster also want to meet and bring you in and get doing business with you. So that's another benefit for joining us. That network's also deep. So in some countries, like in Spain, and you'll hear colleagues from Catalonia talking later on, we've got a deep network of not one, but 6 ecosystems. It's the same in Finland, UK. We're building it up in France as well. Let's go on to the next slide, and I'm going to stop showing slides and get back to the conversation. This is an invitation for people. If you're interested in thematic work, we also have established a number of thematic ecosystems, some of which would be interesting for some of the people who've spoken earlier on today, whether it's to do with, pick 2 here, for instance, digital health data, or women's health, or mental health. We use these as a cross-border way of collaboration, bringing the same concept as we talked about with the geographic ecosystems, but on a cross-border basis. Matching need and solution again, but also looking at where we can get new projects, new collaboration, and most important for you, new areas to go and make new business in. Let's stop sharing slides now and let's get back to the conversation, because I'm eager to hear what other people have got to say, because we're here to connect more dots, not just listen to me talk. So that's enough for me. If you've got any questions, I'll put in the chat function, if those people are online can see it, a contact for me. But also, you'll see contacts at this slideshow afterwards. If you want to connect with me, please do. You can email me, andy@echalliance.com directly, and I look forward to hearing from you. Let's get back to listen to Christina. Over to you, Christina.
Yeah, sure. Andy, actually, I'm quite passionate about being here with you and Clemens so far. Of course, the rest of the participants also will show us a great opportunities. But the thing is that actually we as a community, as an ecosystem, we combining the both world, artificial intelligence and robotic from one hand, and health and life sciences from other hand. by being a small country, actually Bulgaria can contribute by connecting both worlds. And I will be more than happy after the event to think probably together with Clemens how to unite it, together both communities, because the true innovation and the true human well-being is hidden between the technology. So I'm really happy to see you on board. Can you please very briefly share what, because I know you're making so many initiatives, so many events, and I'm really appreciate that you joining us today. Can you share what is probably one to the most recent event that you're organizing?
Okay, just briefly, and I'll put the details again in the chat function for people to follow up on. If you go on to, actually, if you're organized, you could skip the not the next slide, but the slide after. That's the one. No, backwards. Look at that. I can do, no, the one with the digital health society on it. Next one.
I'm sorry, but yeah.
No, we're on. Next one. No.
It's usual normal, come on.
That's it, stop there. So we've established a data arm, which is the Digital Health Society. We will be having our next Digital Health Society Summit in October the 4th to the 5th. It's free. Everything about health data will be there. We've got a great range of speakers. It's free to attend. It's virtual, online. It's a 2-day event. If you're interested in AI, data, and all the things that fall in between, that's a fantastic event to come to. If you're interested in that, I'll put the link in the chat function any moment now. The second event we're looking to do, we have a number of what we call flagship events for our members. So rather than just bombarding you with lots and lots of dates for meetings, we pick 6, 7, 8 that we're going to partner with global partners, like the American Telemed Association, like Health in Las Vegas. There's an example. In November, between the 12th and 16th, we'll be leading a delegation to Health in Las Vegas. Now, we've got a number of opportunities we provide to take our members there and showcase our members at events like that in Las Vegas over a 3 or 4 day period. These are fantastic opportunities to get exposure for people who are passionate about AI or robotics, because there's similar people engaged over there, direct into the American, US market and beyond. Similarly, in the same month, it's all getting a bit crazy because we're not only going to be in Las Vegas. The Global Health Connector partnership we formed will also be presenting within Africa, in Kenya, in Nairobi, and also just because we can spread ourselves out a bit, we're also looking to then be in India with a partner, global health partner called the Health Parliament, talking with and engaging with our Indian ecosystem network. And that's a fantastic opportunity to get deep immersion in a brand new economy, a brand new set of opportunities to learn from and engage with, especially for startups from Bulgaria. So there's not one, there's not two, there's 4 opportunities there, and the initiatives that we're involved with. If you're interested in finding out any more about those, I will put my email address in the chat function, and I'll try and post as well some of the details about those events for you to engage with as well. But there's my email address. Does that answer one of your questions there, Christina? If it doesn't, I've got.
Unfortunately, the time is quite short. Our idea was, but information is too big, so we just let's say scratching the topics, and I'm sure that we will make going deeper next time, probably making bigger event, how to combine the goal of the organization. So thank you a lot, Andy, for being here with us, just to showing the contact.
What I wanted to mention is when we speak about health data spaces, we had Thomas from Digital Europe also today, who is responsible for health data spaces. And it sounds like AI will play a big role also in the digital health, that could play a big role.
Yes,
also.
It's already actually.
Crucial role, a crucial role.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Now I want to give a floor to Maria Fornari from the Institute of Entrepreneurship and Development. Actually, with Maria, we having a long-term partnership from the Greek side, a very trusted and very strong partner with a lot of very interesting projects. So, Maria.
Hello everyone. Thank you. I hope you hear me right.
We can hear you, just wait. Yeah, and we can see you.
Perfect. Hi.
Pleasure to see you.
Pleasure to see you as well. And congratulations. Like, honestly, I'm not surprised, but I'm overwhelmed of how incredibly extroverted Bulgaria, if I may call it as a country, has become, mostly thanks to you, because I see that you are a connector here. You connect the dots. So thank you for today. Thank you for yesterday. I attended yesterday's presentations and some of them really, really hit me. The networking is amazing and the whole team, thanks to the panelists. The panel is also, I mean, it appears to be quite fruitful, the conversation and what each of us have to say. I'll just share very quickly because I know I'll have to rush. I'll just share some of the slides to give you an insight.
Just the technical team to provide you the right for sharing.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I can share that there was fantastic initiative that I earlier mentioned about the corridor of 13 digital innovation hub dedicated on digital health is actually with not only support, but let's say inspired, organized and managed by Maria in the Institute. When we share this know-how, actually a great interest becomes. So Maria, we count on you for many more ecosystem and pan-European support, because I believe that we like already each other, the first condition, and now a huge amount of work in front of us. So yeah, we see the presentation, you can start.
Great. And not just that, I think that after today, we're going to tighten up a bit things with Andy and with Clemens, why not? So let's see what happens after today. So to be very quick, we have the Institute of Entrepreneurship Development and our latest venture, which is Joist Innovation Park. Here, as you can see, the Institute is a European Center of Excellence since 2005. You can see some very amazing numbers of ours, which also show how big and how significant a network we have. So what we provide here, what we have here at Joist Innovation Park is practically a physical and digital ecosystem, a phygital ecosystem that boosts innovation, and we try to bridge the gap as well. We identify problems, and since we're talking today and during these 2 days about spin-offs and about ideas and innovation, we try to identify innovative ideas and research so that whatever happens in the lab does not stay in the lab, and how to bring people together and actors together, and how to also assist companies address their multidimensional needs. Here you can see some of the solutions, so how we can link innovation with edutainment. This is very, it's something very appealing towards students, school students, university students, but also elderly people, because we should not forget about these age groups as well. Here you can see how we have formed more or less the ecosystem of ours. So you see the innovation part, you can see the incubators and accelerators that are part of our ecosystem. We do not incubate, we do accelerate. However, we're not an accelerator. We strongly collaborate with science parks, with digital innovation hubs and European digital innovation hubs. We also provide and collaborate with co-working spaces and of course with competency centers. Here, I would also like to mention that the Institute coordinates one European digital innovation hub focusing on health, the Health Hub, and we also coordinate a competency center named Pythia, also focusing on health. Here you can see a competition mapping, and competition in the meaning of not who we have to compete, but to know what else is out there. So you can see here the holistic approach of ours. So you see the science development, including science parks and technology parks and the labs, of course, how we bring these together, and then how you bring also the startups, the incubators, accelerators, and the hubs through co-working spaces, but not only, so that you bring them together and in a holistic approach to help them thrive and, you know, bring what each of them has to show. In Joist, we have a platform of services. You can see the different bits and parts of the puzzle. So play and learn, create, fund, work, meet and connect, and grow. Very quickly, you can see here part of the path. So we aggregate innovation from all over the world, because whatever I have been showing to you is not just, it does not only happen in Greece, apparently. We're talking about European and international collaborations. So we aggregate innovation to help it develop, to offer expertise, and then help ideas reach the market. We have the 4 ecosystems of Joist: educational, technology, agrotech, e-health, of course, and e-tourism. Technology we use is artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, and VR and AR, which is not something that we develop alone, but of course we welcome partners from abroad and from Greece that give this technology to our partners. And why we're different, I won't show you here what we have, I'll just skip it very quickly. The ecosystem that we have built, we are not a network, but as my dear Andy keeps mentioning on how they connect the dots, this is something we do as well in a bit different way, but it's something that we do. So you see Joist and the Institute in the middle, and then we have a number of competency centers, cooperatives, and community around us. And again, universities, startups, I mean, the wider circle. I would like to stay as well to government and public bodies. I was very enthusiastic yesterday about the presentation that the municipality of Sofia and the Invest organization gave. It was very aspiring. And it's one of the reasons why we collaborate very closely with the public sector as well. And here you can see the linkages we do. So practically, you can see how we initiate with matching innovation and ideation, how we help it turn into a concept, how to present the concept, how to develop it actually, and then how to test and develop it after it grows, and so that it ends up in the market. Here you can see some things about edutainment, the future learning lab of ours, the innovation transfer office, something very, very important, because again, innovation is something that has to travel. It's so broad that we need to make it sometimes to narrow it down so that we can bring it to people. And last, I would like also to mention that EU-funded projects is a very, very significant part of what the Institute does. So we have the EU Calls platform. It's all ours, and I'm very proud of it. So you can become member there to the biggest community for EU funding in Europe, with more than 4,400 partners and more than 25,000 users. And there you can register, and we can bring you not only one, but many steps closer to your future consortium. So thank you very much. I hope I was fast enough.
Thank you, Maria. Actually, I was really, really lucky to being part of opening of Joist, and from first expression, the place that you created is a Spinoff factory, a real one. With very interesting models and other things that make me a very strong impression that we are much alike. The strong ecosystem, the presenters from academia, from government, from scientific world, from business. So Maria, it's a pleasure as always to work with you. From what I understand, we for sure we're supposed to think for a very certain workshop for this model that you point us, how it could be recreated, especially in our region, because unfortunately, the common problems we have on Eastern Europe, as we spoke several times. So thank you again for being with us. And very soon, I hope that we can see each other.
Just
and the last
comment
online
before you
participant.
close. Just one comment. I'm happy that you have the event today in Burgas. It's good to see big things happen, not just in capitals, because we're not located in Athens. We are in Larissa. So it's great to have such a great event in Burgas. Just that. Thanks. And I shut up.
Thank you. And the last online participant before going on the studio with Monse, which is just right now training, I see she's having a lot of things to share with us, is Benjamin Tallin, who is more than digital platform representative, but also for the Benjamin, I can say that he's one of the greatest connector I know. So we make a lot of dots, Benjamin. Probably from your experience, it's good to describe us how to actually to connect those points, and of course sharing the best know-how for the spin-offs creation coming from the Dutch market, because we know that your experience there. Hi.
Thank you very much. And it's actually very funny, because everything I'm fighting against we have been now listening to for 40 minutes. It's pretty much all this bullshit and marketing being put out there, that everybody is so great, everybody has so great things to offer. It's so great that everybody has so many events, and all these events are pretty much useless, to be honest. Because I'm working now for innovation for over a dozen different governments. I was advising over years so many different networks, EU commissions and whatever. The problem is always we are being stuck in this. Everybody is so great. I mean, we listened now for 40 minutes some sales pitches from different networks instead of actually going to the real core of what the problem is. And the problem is that we have too much talking, and we have too much just sitting together and just being together, and actually not enough looking for solutions what actually might help. And that's actually why the credo what I had, and that's why I don't have a presentation to share with you. So for everybody who is looking for the marketing sales pitch here, unfortunately I don't have one. More Than Digital grew to an international leading digital innovation initiative. We're helping over 2.5 million executives worldwide by looking for highly scalable solutions. So that is the only thing what we are doing. And the problem is, when we are speaking of connecting different ecosystems, it's always what we have seen here. That's exactly what I told you. Everybody is like, come to us, come to us, come to us, come to us. So it's literally like just in the panel before, we were hearing things about how to collaborate. And our panel till now was literally just like, come to me, because that my awesome network is there. So we see why it's not working. So what we need to actually elaborate is, how can we better connect itself? I mean, that is why the European digital innovation hubs are not working. That is why most international networks are not working. There are so many particular interests. There are so many people just actually filling their own pockets without thinking of the greater mission to be accomplished. And that was actually the reason why, after many years of advising governments and commissions and whatever, I just took it in my own hand and said, like, fuck it, I don't want to play this game anymore. I don't want to have this my interest is here and my interest is their game. I want to look for the right solutions. And that was actually why it's so funny that we have now this block here of pretty much everything I'm fighting against pressed into 40 minutes of we are so great, we are so good. And the problem what we really have is, when we are talking about startups, they don't profit from events, they don't profit from some promises, they don't profit from some memberships. What they really profit from is actually getting visibility. What startups need is getting visibility, first customers. What they really need is actually get to pilot projects. That's why, Maria, I loved your approach, that you're actually bringing together different stakeholders with a different system. But the problem itself is that we're always just speaking of pan-European networks or international networks as a thing to connect. But the reality is, I mean, if it would work, what everybody is promising, then we would have a great working ecosystem, right? The problem is it isn't working because there are too many interests involved in that. And when we are really looking into pan-European or international networking, how they should be evolving, there is a great example from Silicon Valley. It's not the formal structures of some venture clubs and membership here and whatever. It's actually when the ecosystem is free to roam. It's when information is flowing, when people are connecting, when people are interconnected. And that is happening in the US way better because we don't have, in Europe, we have so many different languages, we have so many barriers in between. So we really need to look at a solution where it comes to a real pan-European network, and not just like 50 different networks fighting with each other, who has a membership for what. And I guess that should be the discussion point when you're here. And then I also finish, because I don't want to stress now also the time, because that is really what we should be discussing, and not having sales pitches of come to be my member. We should be more discussing of how can we actually cross collaborate, how can we break down borders, and that is actually what More Than Digital tries to do, and where I pay the price for it, because I don't want to do the other way around. And there is a hard way to it, and we have to face the challenge that there is a reality that there are too many involved interests in this, and that is why the European innovation ecosystem was never actually growing, was never actually bringing something down to the floor, and why it's always struggling with the same problems for the last 10 years, despite of all these billions and millions flowing into connections, whatever. And I'm now the bummer here, but it's just simply the reality after advising so many governments and initiatives.
Thank you, Benjamin. As always, very punctual, very to the point, and probably you taking partially my ending speech, so it's good. I will save some time at the end. Thank you again. Lucky to having you on board in the next to our team as a partner, as a friend. So looking forward to see you in person very soon. Thank you again. And going back here in this lovely room with Monse Daban. Monse.
Hello.
Thank you.
Testing this also.
First of all, thank you for joining us on live, because otherwise me and Kao, I'm just speaking with the screen. So thank you again. You have a really great expertise. You have a great know-how. From yesterday, we started to discuss why Bulgaria is so behind when it comes to result next to European projects and program. And the thing that I can share with the audience that when you invite us at the beginning of the last year, at the end of last year, let's do a project together. I was a little bit skeptical, because I know that the statistics showing, especially for Bulgarian organization, that less than 8% is having some, let's say, chance to succeed. But it's happened, and thanks to you and to your expertise, of course, the team and the whole consortium, actually, we managed to succeed. So we are a good story, and behind the scene of how to win successful European project next to Horizon, I think that Monse is the person. Someone said the stage is yours.
Thank you. So first, it's a pleasure being here. It's not only to take part in this conversation, but also being on site means a lot. So it means, and I'm sorry for the other panelists that cannot have the chance that I have to be here and feel the atmosphere, and being yesterday also in the networking event, and being together with many stakeholders of the Bulgarian ecosystem, because being on site has a lot of advantages on that sense. And this is what collaboration is about. Let's mention that, of course, pandemics has cut this on-site presence. It spurred collaborations a lot. I mean, collaborations on research were increased during pandemics because of the great challenge, and we go back to the challenges a little bit later. But going back on site means knowing, understanding, stepping on the different environments that you can also experience. And that's for me, it's the value of being here. And thank you for inviting me. We are partners in a project, like Christina said. This is a very interesting project because we talked today and yesterday about clusters, about collaboration, about what we can do for the spin-offs, for the startups, but how we measure what we are doing. I mean, how we measure if what we do has a success. And we all have programs and services for our companies, but we don't know if what we are doing has an impact. And this is what the project is about. So may I go back to the, this big screen that you have with all the logos supporting. I don't know if it's possible, but I would like to bring your attention to 3 logos that are there. Actually, 2 logos and a name. It's Inaxe. This is the name of a project that still has no logo. So that's why this is so new. It just started in July. We're still working with the image. And then there are other two logos. One is BioCat. This is my organization. The other is the Council of European Bioregions, which I am the honor also to be the vice president for this network. This is a network of about 40 clusters in Europe, a little bit over 40. And we are members there, we collaborate, and this is an incredible opportunity also to be connected to other organizations like yours, to find the common challenges and to draw the shared pathway. So this is what all we are talking about now is about. So again, going back to the success, an EU-funded project is not anymore something that you apply to have funds to do what you want to do, because there's a shared agenda. And there are some things that for Europe are crucial now. And what we have to do is align our needs to what the policies in Europe look like now and go for it. So this is a little bit the story of success. I also shared with Cristina yesterday that a success in Catalonia is really successful. Barcelona and Catalonia, we are really successful attracting EU funds. But it comes in the year 2000, a very wise minister we had launched a strategy that it was people, not projects. So we fund the organizations, we fund the talent, and then we encourage them to go to find funds in Europe and not to play the local league, let's say. So that has pros and cons, but has given us a high competitiveness in Europe. So this is just to mention some of the ideas that also were mentioned yesterday. So if I go back to I have a short presentation to share with you. So because it's going to explain a little bit the story that I'm also commenting on now. So BioCat started in 2006, so it's 16 years. We've been 16 years building an ecosystem in Catalonia. This is one of the strong ecosystems in Europe. We have like 1,500 companies in the region, about 100 research organizations, hospitals, universities, etc. They all work together in what is an innovative ecosystem. And we have a mandate, like all the cluster organizations like ours, to support our stakeholders to go international. And that's one mandate that we're also implementing through our e-projects. If there's no presentation, it's not a big deal because I can just go through it. This is one of the mandates. The other one is, like I mentioned, tackling the shared challenges. There's not only the 2030 agenda anymore. There are a lot of things that have been in between in the last years. Europe, it was mentioned today, has a strong policy on digitalization and on sustainability, of course. How come not? Could be this way. And the other thing is we have to look for impact on what we do. And this is what we are doing in our project. What we've done, and this is an example of how we work, what we've done in the last years is you ask us at a certain point what we can do for the spin-offs, for the startups, and we'll be discussing that. Identifying the needs through surveys, talking to them, knowing in depth the ecosystem. And then, we all share the same challenges. It's tech transfer, it's talent, it's funding, it's about consolidating an industry around, but it's also adopting technology. We talked about them also, those projects. But now we have to cross that with the new ones, with digitalization, with sustainability, with resilience, with recovery, with impact for the people. And this is what we do in our projects. I can do that by myself, yeah. So I think I covered already the first one that I said, that we have the mandate to go international and to support our stakeholders, connecting them to other stakeholders, to other organizations like ours in the world. This is what we do. This is not complete, of course, but these are some of the partners we've been working with in the last years from BioCat in Barcelona. So the next thing is finding common challenges and going for European projects that, like, for example, in AXE, it's mentioned in 2022, 2023, it's going to last for 2 years. We are very proud to be partners with you, Health and Life Science Cluster in Bulgaria. But this is the story of projects that we've had in BioCat. And now we are currently 7 EU projects ongoing. And I will talk about INACSE because this is what I came for. So this is an inclusive and aligned innovation agenda across Europe. This is an European innovation ecosystems project that intends with these partners here. It's Medicine in the Paris region, BioRN in the Heidelberg region, BioCat in Catalonia, Danish Life Sciences Cluster, which is a very nice story of merging clusters together. I wish really that Karen could explain that here because this is very interesting. And of course, BioCluster Bulgaria. With CIBER that has these 40 partners in Europe. So what's INACSE about? It's about mapping the ecosystem assets. This is the first thing. We have to know what we have there. I mean, we have a strong business intelligence unit in BioCat that does this. And this is what we are also transferring to our partners in the project. Assessing. So this is very important, knowing what you do, which is the impact of this, how you deliver the service to the ecosystem. So we need to define these impact metrics because this is not very an issue too easy to talk about. So it's it's tricky issue, and sometimes it's about narratives. We have to define these metrics. We have to compare, benchmark our practices, knowing each other, what we do, connecting, strengthening the dialogue, defining this joint long-term program, this common agenda with the shared problems, and then through this pan-European collaboration, transform a more interconnected, inclusive, sustainable, dynamic, and competitive innovation ecosystem across EU. This is what we do. And just very quickly, to show this is what the CIBER is about, the cluster of the Council for European Bioregions, all around Europe. And some examples of what we've done, for example, we've mapped the landscape of biomanufacturing agents all over Europe. We have been collaborating in the COVID-19 challenges that broke some of the industrial ecosystems. And we've also been creating this shared space where to find solutions for our SMEs, our companies, our industry in general, for this resilience, for this recovery of Europe, that is a shared goal for all of us. And I'm just going to stay here.
Thank you, Mose. Inspirational as always. I can stop myself to ask you so many questions. We will scratch a little bit, of course, the surface, and afterward, during the network, I will try to decode. I'm curious because you have a really impressive result. You mentioned yesterday 90%. You mentioned this very specific thing that the project is supposed to answering a certain question, a certain need of the European Commission. When it comes to spin-off companies in our sector, what, from your point of view, will be the project that supposed to be created to think about what type of ecosystem or partners it's good to start to having as community?
Okay, so when we talk about spin-offs, so we think that it's an idea that comes from the academia and intends to be a business. So that's a very specific moment in the life of a company. You're starting the business, but this is, from our perspective, this is not the real. I mean, starting a company is not really difficult. It is for entrepreneurs, of course, but the problem is keeping that company alive, so that it can be a consolidated company, that it can be grow up, that can be a scale up, that it can be live through the years and really be producing a technology. So, I mean, we're talking about life sciences, which is a difficult subject in terms of years to be in the market, and at the end of the day, having a product or a technology that has to be adopted by the system, or that it has to be acquired by another company, etc. So probably the thing is, first of all, of course, having this entrepreneurial environment that supports the transfer of knowledge from the research from the lab to into a business, but also having an ecosystem that helps that business to survive for a time, that to live for some more years, that just spin-off. So it is about knowing which are the main needs from those companies: funding, talent, connections, internationalization, and a supportive, mature environment in which you find all the necessary knowledge to provide for the different aspects of this life of the spin-off and the startup.
Partially answering my next question, but still as a cluster, because this is our job to provide this great infrastructure ecosystem to support this company to growth and to know where they can find the correct matching and partners. In BioCat, how you manage, how are you supporting this company?
Okay, we have, I have to say that we have a deep knowledge of the ecosystem. We have built this business intelligence in-house, in which we try to identify all the stakeholders and also create the environment to connect them. So first, networking, connection, matchmaking, that's important. So it's like a marketplace where every need finds a solution. That is what an organization that promotes a cluster is intended to do, locally and internationally. The second thing is identifying which areas have a need for specific intervention. For example, I mentioned initially that we have identified that tech transfer is really a need. I mean, not only for companies identifying which solutions that are being generated in academia can be of interest for those companies, which is tech transfer, it's bringing in innovations to the industry. We have a program for that. We have been working for years in an open innovation forum in which industries could find solutions from the TTOs in the academia. That's very focused, but it has worked. I mean, at least initially, it is a very good system to combine academia and industry needs. A second one is identifying the needs of, in terms of talent. You need entrepreneurs, but you also need, for those startups, for those SMEs that are growing, you need C-level, C-suite. I mean, you need directors, CEOs, CSOs, CFOs, that have to lead this growth of the company. We have programs there too. Funding, we try to connect companies to local and international investors. So it's trying to identify these 5 needs that are crucial and building a program for that. You always need to build a program where you identify there's a need, there's a gap, but then we have to add the needs in digital transformation, sustainability. We are working in identifying what to do also in those areas. Some projects we have are working there.
Oh, great news. We are here. Volunteer. The next panelist, of course, will go even deeper in this topic. But last question, of course, the goal of the INACSE is actually to make a mapping, to gathering the numbers to understand what is the reality and what is the local ecosystem on the regional level as on a country level. So I believe that this could be a great fundament of a great spin-off pan-European initiative. So my question to you is, what about to think how to merge the spin-off initiatives? So far, we hear yesterday Austria spin-off. Why not to think about Spanish spin-off, Bulgarian spin-off, and to think of?
Well, actually, this is what collaboration is about, is understanding, is sharing visions, it's learning from the other practices. So I think that our project in INACSE, as you perfectly know, Christina and Dimitar also, that we are together in this project, is about building a plan together. But after this plan, we have the opportunity to implement it. So I really look forward to the opportunity to build this community together after these first 2 years of program and see where that brings us. Let me just advertise a little bit at the end of this month, and this is a start of it. We have another project that is having a 2-day event in Ljubljana. It's about building a strong public and private academia and industry partnerships. So I think this is a good example. One of the things that Europe asks us is to connect everything that we do
to our partners in other projects. So you are invited to join us there also, to bring your companies there. There's slots for companies, free registration. You're very welcome to join. This is an example of what you have to do. Just connect everything we're doing for the sake of our companies, for the sake of our ecosystems.
Sounds like a great plan.
It is.
Thank you, Monse. Lovely as always. Thank you. With this, we're closing this panel for Pan-European ecosystem that's supporting the spin-off creation. Already we mentioned several very key words like digitalization, green manufacturing, sustainability. So for me, it's a great pleasure to invite on the stage Daniel Cosina, who is the president of the Romanian Cluster Association, co-chair of EEN thematic group on cluster. His topic will be on digitalization, green manufacturing, and change management challenges for traditional manufacturing SMEs. So hi, Daniel.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and for the invitation. Because the time is very limited. If I may, to put the presentation, the Restart SME presentation. So, first of all, when we talk about spin-offs, because the conference is about spin-off, I think that, and it was also discussed earlier today, and some numbers have been given, expectations of 5, I don't know, 3, 4 to 20 spin-offs that come out. And I think that in this, in the period we are now living in, I think we cannot talk about a spin-off, which is something innovative. It's an innovative company, without talking about digitalization. So, and also we have to consider also against the wider background of the European industrial policy, which has as goals the green, digital, and resilient transformation. So this initiative, I would like to briefly talk to you, and also this is relevant, I think, both for established companies which are here present, but also for the ones who are thinking of maybe founding a company or a spin-off, having an innovative idea and so on. Is this initiative the Restart SME project? How do I do this? Okay, so the Restart SME is a COSME project, so project funded by the European Union, which aims at supporting companies get more digital, or support so companies working in the non-IT field, get more digital. And I think this is also, as I told you, relevant for the spin-offs. Okay. So what does our project offer to you? What you could do? You could use this. So there is an assessment of the digital transformation readiness. So you could play, and I will show you in 5 minutes. I will show you how to play. You could play with this tool. There is a tool that has been developed which assesses the level of maturity of your company or of your idea. Then after you have played with this tool, and you will get some assessment from the specialists in the project, and then you can several hackathons will be so-called hackathons will be organized next year, where you can meet also technology providers. For example, after getting your assessment ready, there will be some points where we are doing okay. There will be some points where we are not so okay, and then you can resort to the solutions that IT company can offer to you. And of course, you can join a community. And I think this is very important about community. There are very many communities around. And the question, what you have to put yourself where is, how do I know if something is relevant? Yeah. Okay. Now this guy from Romania comes and tells me I have to join his community because he is in this project. But how do you assess that this initiative is okay for you, or maybe another one? And I think, and also we had this discussion today about community building and the role of clusters. So it is advisable that you, as a company or as an organization dealing with economic development, or if you want to start to found a startup or a spin-off coming from university or from somewhere else, you should be, it's advisable that you are part of a cluster, because in a cluster you get filtered information. So and the cluster management can tell you, this initiative is okay, or this initiative is not so relevant for you, because otherwise there are so many initiatives, so many information, and you do not know, which is relevant. So being part of a cluster has the advantage that you have access to filtered information. And then you spare, of course, time, you spare resources. And also the clusters can provide you with support. And this is not only about financial support, but also about non-financial support. Always, so it's often that we are seeking money. And of course, we want funding for our companies and so on. But there is also non-financial support, which is very relevant. For example, the Enterprise Europe Network. And we have Daniela here, who presented you the advantages of using this tool, in terms of internationalization, of innovation assessment, of assessment of the digital readiness. So this is something that, for example, the Enterprise Europe Network can provide to you. So now you have also this Restart SMEs as an initiative, which is also trying to build a community and to bring together IT enterprises and non-IT enterprises. The IT enterprises offering solutions, tailor-made solutions for the non-IT enterprises. It's up to you to decide if this initiative is good, but the fact that we have been invited to present this, this is already, I think, let's say, and I thank you for this, to the organizers for inviting me. That means that they have appreciated that this initiative might be of help to you. But this is how you have to think. You have to think critically and to judge what is being presented to you in order to select the best option for you. And being part of a cluster and using the tools, all available existing tools, if they are non-financial and if they don't cost you much, this is something you should consider. Going to the next slide. So there will be, it's a journey. The project is thought as a journey, assessment of the digital transformation. You join the online community, then you, based on this tool that has been developed, if you play there and you will get your a report, and then you can participate to hackathons and other events. And if I ask you in the back, could you please click on this on the link, on the Restart SMEs link? Because I want to show you where this where this tool is, you could play with. So if you click on this, visit restartsmes.eu. Or you could copy it in the browser, or Okay, and if we go up, you see here, there up, it's a digital assessment. It's just on the top. You see this digital assessment. If you click on this digital assessment on top, then you can start free of any charge to play a little bit and to assess the digital maturity of your project. So to come to a close, so I think it is very important to be part of a community. And the cluster is the best community for enterprises, to our opinion, because via the clusters you can access all different kind of information and filtered information. You have access to non-financial support. You get like the Enterprise Europe Network, like the European Digital Innovation Hubs, which will of course provide digitalization solutions, but also to the companies which have a certain degree of digital maturity and of innovation. And these are also part of clusters as a rule. And of course, you can get support in accessing also funding, also available public funded, be it at national level or be it at international level. As it has been already mentioned today, that we have a problem both in Bulgaria and Romania. Of course, you are also even better than we are in accessing Horizon Europe project, which has a high level of excellence. And there is a road, to get there. And this is why also I encourage you to use also this initiative to play a little bit with it. So to start to maybe to play with this digital assessment tool, and you will get a tailor-made report, and then you will be part also of this community, and then you can participate to the events that the project will be organizing also next year. But I think don't take it for granted just because I said it. Okay, you have to judge for yourself and to assess for yourself what initiative is the best suited for you. But I encourage you also to use this platform. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so for the next panel, it will be a company showcase, startups, venture building, and investor feedback. I would like to invite on stage one by one the startups. Viktor Todorov from Prevento, come on stage. Miroslav Genchev from Telelink. Dmitry Dimitrov from Hemoking Pharmaceuticals. Dmitry Mitev from Meteorox. Come on stage, join me. Professor Hussein Yemengiev from Enova H2O. Alexandra Velkova from Atlas Argo Science. Hemel Armania from DigiStain will be with us on Zoom, and Svetelina Dimova from Auto Engineering Holding Group also will be with us online. And the last but not least, Jasmina Berova from Cardinal Bytes. So we'll start in a few moments. Okay, so we'll not waste time because it's limited. We will start with presentation, short presentation about what you do until all of the startup members will come. Okay, so let's start with Meteorox. Take the mic. 2 minutes.
But I have a presentation.
Okay, so how long is the presentation? Okay, take the other microphone, Jasmina. And we'll begin with it. Can we load Meteoroc's presentations?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Jasmine. I also have a presentation, but I'll take a more interactive approach this time. So I would like to ask the audience, how many of you love sweets? Please raise your hand. All right, cool. And how many of you have been on a diet at some point of your life? Please raise your hand. All right, okay, we have the majority. And the last question is, how many of you have cut sweets during being on a diet in order to stay in shape and be healthy? All right, so we have the majority also. Well, this is the problem that my company, I'm the general manager of Cardinal Bites, is trying to solve. And the problem is how to eat sweets and stay in shape. That's why Cardinal Bites are inventing the first protein balls on the Bulgarian market. They look like this. These are our first 3 flavors, which are cocoa rose and mahlab, hazelnut chocolate with goji berry, and white chocolate with figs. Actually, they're without added sugar, with high fiber content in order to stay satiated, and we don't compromise the taste. So the whole point of the company and the mission of the company is to transform temptations into protein innovations. We don't have much time, and I'll say that we are already, we have our first pre-seed investment that is going to be announced in 10 days on Forbes. So you're going to read again about us. And
how much is Mina?
Sorry, no, I can't say that because okay. It's actually it's in the register right now. So we closed our first pre-seed round, and we are finalists in national and international competitions for innovation and food tech. So this is us, and thank you for the attention. I'm going to pass.
Yes.
Am I next? Okay. Hello again. It's me, Alex from Atlas Agro. Our company is taking a step further by defining what our future will look like. Yesterday, I read something really interesting, a quote by Mahatma Gandhi, who said that the future depends on what we do in the present. So what we did is we collected a great team who is working on the development of different solutions that could be applied into the farming and landscaping industry through converting different waste resources. At this point, we are treating the sludge from wastewater treatment plants, which is a great problem, not only locally, but globally. And we are converting this sludge into the first ever waste-based biostimulant for farming and landscaping industries. We've been working on the project for 4 years, but in the past 2, we have achieved a lot. We have been innovator for the year of 2020 and 2021. We have successfully completed the accelerator program of EIT Climate Kick together with our partners from Clean Tech Bulgaria. We have signed more than 7 contracts with one of the biggest municipalities in Bulgaria, Sofia, Veliko Trnovo. We are in negotiation with Plovdiv, Varna, Burgas. We are working very well with Kneža, and please excuse me if I'm forgetting someone, but it's been great because we see that there is a huge potential in our product being applied on a national level and actually making steps towards becoming more sustainable and greener community and environment.
Are you already producing sales and revenue?
I'm sorry?
Are you already producing sales and revenue?
Yes, yes,
cool.
We are.
Okay, thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you too.
Hello, my name is Victor. I'm here to present our spin-off Prevento. I'm from a company called Cosmos Trace. The interesting thing about our project is that it's a spin-off from 3 companies. Prevento is a predictive maintenance solution. one of the companies who's actually the initiator of the project, called Inoxis, is a manufacturer of equipment in Bulgaria. They also offer maintenance as a service. So they're on the market for the last 30 years. And for the last few years, they have identified a need for more mass applied predictive maintenance solution for their own clients. They have started the project a couple of years ago when they identified this need and when they tried to actually find solution among the many solutions on the market already. And they have seen that actually there are several challenges in applying these solutions. Nowadays, one of them is that some of these solutions are quite expensive. So they're applied only to critical equipment. And also the majority of the existing providers, that they're not easy to apply. So you need to have specialization in place, specialists in place who can actually do it. So they have initiated the project looking at providing the next two parts of such a product, which are the software and the machine learning part. And this is where we came in as a machine learning company. The other partner in this is Dreamix. They are a very well-known company, Sofia, in Bulgaria, sorry, as a whole. They provide complex software solutions, and they're one of the very few companies in East Europe that have a partner who is already a unicorn company. The three companies work together in this project. Now we are at MVP stage. And next month we start to raise investment for the first product, to finish the product and to start selling.
What is the amount that you're going to raise?
800,000 euro.
How much?
800,000 euro is the first round. Yeah.
Very nice. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, Miroslav.
Hi, I'm Miroslav. I'm with Telling Business Services. 4 years ago, we spun off a company out of Telling Business Services called Develiat, which is was back then a startup in the Internet of Things domain. Basically, we aim to deliver outcome-based IoT, outcome-based Internet of Things, basically saying, hey, put these sensors here, and this is the outcome we guarantee to you. So we started initially with monitoring urban air quality, then noise, then managing water. And actually, since this March, we integrated back into the company we spun from, where now we are looking to, basically we did it, so we have a bigger scale, and now we are doing the things we did at Develiat, and also project like doing predictive maintenance. And basically the current thing we are doing is, I don't know if you're familiar, that all companies need to report sustainability metrics since 2024. We see this as a big potential. Basically, we want to go there and say, hey, if you want to show that you're caring for the environment, that you're losing less water, less electricity, your carbon footprint is lower, take us, we'll get you the data, and we'll help you build this report to show that you're actually treating the environment better than anyone else.
Thank you, Miroslav.
Hello, I am Hussein, co-founder of Innova H2O. We are a company which offers solutions for the water industry, namely instruments for faster, better, and more efficient water quality monitoring. Our first product is aiming to replace 100 years old method called BOD, or biological oxygen demand. As a parameter, BOD is quite unique, but there is a problem. And the problem is that you have to collect sample, you have to transport this sample to the lab, you have to use a specific equipment, and finally, you need 5 days to obtain results. And in some cases, this is very unapplicable, especially when you aim to operate water infrastructure. We are using biosensors, which makes possible faster and instantly, almost instantly evaluation of the organic pollutants in water and evaluation of BOD. And as a company, we already managed to enter the market, and we reach our first customers. And just to make the link with the event topic, me and my co-founder, we both have academic background, so we know the problems and advantages, of course, of both academia and industry, and we are somehow trying to be a link in between. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we'd like now to give an
Testing
option
the
again
mic.
for the presentation of Matteo Rocks, if it's possible. If not, just start.
Hi, my name is Dimitar. I'm one of the founders and CEO at Meteorox. Our company uses some of the latest technological and scientific advancements in meteorology to provide scalable digital solutions to the local and global markets. Next slide, please. I think the guys over there need to do it. Yeah, and the next one. So our short-term precipitation, the next please. Our short-term precipitation forecasting system provides a reliable forecast for precipitation for the next 30 minutes for the region of Bulgaria. The system extrapolates data from weather data or weather radar readings and plots future precipitation path. It can alert users about approaching extreme weather events and provide valuable time for preparation. The system can be deployed in any region with sufficient radar coverage. Next slide, please. So global weather forecasting done the traditional way has always been quite computational demanding. And global models provide a coarse weather forecast for every region of the Earth. But the local forecast, which takes topography and land cover into account, has rarely been available. We are running and fine-tuning a high-resolution model for the region of Bulgaria. We are using our own network of weather stations to verify the forecasts we are getting and to drive the accuracy further. Once ready, our plan is to deploy high-resolution models for an increasing number of clients worldwide.
Dimitar, what is your uniqueness when compared to the others?
Our uniqueness in comparison to the others, there are many projects in Western Europe doing this, but in Bulgaria, so far there are none who are introducing nowcasting services and high-resolution modeling. And we want to use the fact that in Bulgaria, we are doing this in a country where the weather for observation systems are very poor. And despite the fact that the infrastructure is very bad, we found a way to do it. And this means we will be able, using our experience from doing it in Bulgaria, we'll be able to do it in other regions of the world, which are not Western Europe.
Is it true that you have one station in Antarctica active?
Yes, it's active when the satellite internet is operating. Otherwise, it's recording data locally.
Cool. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like now to move to the people online. Hemel Amrani, are you with us? If not,
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, hi, Hemel.
Oh, I think somebody is sharing their screen.
Yeah, you can start.
Oh, it says I cannot share my screen while the other participant is sharing. No matter. Let me just talk through it. So, yeah, hello, everyone. I'm Hemel, founder of Digistain. We are a brand new technology company spun out of Imperial College in London. And we improve cancer mortality by accelerating the diagnostic time, which currently takes many weeks down to several minutes. And we did this. So at the moment, the way it works is if you have cancer, the therapist really struggles with determining who gets chemotherapy. And we solve that problem in just a few minutes with a technology that is radically faster and more cost effective than what's currently possible. And this technology is patented. It came out of Imperial College. And for me personally, as an academic, as a cancer researcher, I had to cross that chasm, as I'm sure many people in the audience can relate, between research funding and getting private funding. And for us, what solved that problem were two things, really. Number one was getting invested by our lead investor, Y Combinator. We're a Y Combinator backed company. Many of you have heard of Y Combinator as whose reputation, national reputation, is second to none. But also, what's quite unusual about our company is that even though we are commercially very young, as in we only were incorporated last year, we're technologically very mature in that we've already done patient trials, etc. And really what enabled that was understanding that private investors want to have that de-risked, and we did that by collaborating with hospitals very, very early and trying to get as much done as we could with just research funding alone. So in just 12 months now, we have a market-ready platform ready for multiple cancers, for breast cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer, etc. Our patent is granted. It's not just filed, but finally granted. And we now have full market clearance in the UK, USA, and in Europe as well with CE marking.
Very nice achievements, Hamel. Very nice, bravo. Okay, the last startup will present Svetlana Dimova from Avdo Engineering Holding Group. Svetlana, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. So yes, I'm representative of Avdo Engineering Holding Group. This is a Bulgarian company with 20 years of experience. We are the biggest supplier in Bulgaria of specialized vehicles and equipment for municipalities, for different institutions. But the purpose why we are here now is to present a product which is in line with our aspiration to develop like green products in alignment with the Green Deal concept, because like in the last years we have delivered electric vehicles. We have produced our like different innovative products, and one of these is the machine. It's a compactor that I'm going to show you now. It has been created with the Technical University of Sofia, and it was funded by the Innovations Fund. Can I show you? Should I share my screen?
Yeah,
or
go ahead quickly if you can.
Sorry?
Quickly, if you can.
But should I share, or you can present the presentation?
Try to share.
Okay.
We will try to present as well. The earliest that will come will be good.
But it's yeah, just saying that I cannot share because somebody else is sharing.
Okay, we'll try in a few seconds to raise your presentation. Meanwhile, I would like to prepare you for the first question of the panel, which is when comparing a regular VC angel-funded company and running it, and when you compare it to a spin-off, where you have a mother company taking care of your financials, of the IP, of the instruments, of the facilities and everything, is it easier to run a company in this way? Is it more innovative to run it this way, or the other way around? So this will be the first question of the panel.
Probably it will be complicated for me to fully answer the question because our situation is a little bit hybrid. Our company is a startup by definition, and the idea behind it was born out of nothing. But actually, all the people involved in the company being experts in their own fields and having their own businesses, of course, that helped tremendously on how we built the startup. So I think having the opportunity of being a business owner and then transferring to a startup is definitely helping and makes it easier for the startup to live and build the future.
Does it hurt innovation?
No, I don't think so, because especially in our case, we were people coming from very different fields. So this brainstorming we get, I must say, it's really beneficial, and I don't think it's a matter of having previous experience or not. It works better from my understanding and my experience.
Okay, Miroslav, it seems that you have been on both sides. Can you help us?
Yeah, absolutely. It's easier if the internal processes in the big company are done right. I mean, before we spun off Develiat, we actually had a role that was called an entrepreneur, a person who is doing entrepreneurship into the company. That was my role. And why this is important? Because while we were in the initial phase, the big company is like an incubator for you. However, the big companies, the big company has to develop and implement big projects under a specific time frame, processes, roles, etc., which can kill a startup. Because as a startup, you have to be very fast. You maybe need to change your decision for the next day. And if the big company puts you into and asks you to do things following their standard process of operation, it will kill you. But if it has, as we used to have back then, a separate process for these internal experiments, it works. I mean, if I had to change something, I didn't have to go and ask someone or talk to the accounting or whatever. I just did it. And it helps a lot because in the very initial stage, you're no one. No one knows you, you have this great idea. And if I go to a customer and say, hey, I'm from Telelink and I have this great idea, I have a meeting with the customer. If I go and say, hey, I'm Miro, I'm from Develiat, no one knows me. So it very, very much helps if it's done right.
So flexibility is the key in the politics of the company.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, if it's flexible and it has an internal process for that, it definitely helps. The brand helps.
Nice point. Victor?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, especially when you consider big company with well-known name. But I'll start from a different angle. So you were asking about the difference between being funded, and I don't think that there is a contradiction between, being a spin-off and raise funding. I think that there is a very unknown space in funding in Bulgaria. I have experience in the UK and Denmark, and where the culture is very different. What I mean is very often at this early stage, the investor needs to be also your partner. And this is what doesn't exist much in Bulgaria, unfortunately. And, investors are not always just money. There are also connections and people who know the market, as should be. In very rare cases, when a company has a potential for high growth, and these are very few companies, probably less than 2% from each vertical, then VC capital is really good for them. But for the rest, angel investment is just enough in this early days. I have experience in both invest companies and spin-offs. This particular one that we're doing now is really interesting. Is the first one in my career that we have three very different companies having one joint project. And what made it actually work to this point is that we assigned specifically people from each of these companies to lead the assigned parts of the project. And also we made sure that they work as a team, regardless of the percentage distribution within the new company. This is very important because you work in a team. And people are, as always, the most important ingredient for success. It's not the capital. It's not the technology.
So it's not the title or who is your boss, it's more than the team.
Exactly.
your point.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jasmina, you wanted to?
Well, in my opinion, actually, I have more than 10 years of experience in corporate and agencies, and I'm an entrepreneur for the last 2.5, 3 years. So I've seen both sides. And in my opinion, it's relatively easier to run a spin-off because when you have a mother company with the core business that is have the resources and you can be more to take risks. It's just you're calmer and you can you can have
you can go out at home at 5.
Yeah, so actually something that I really like as an example is Coca-Cola's, for example, one of the biggest companies in the world in the FMCG field. They have a new initiative, a spin-off, which is called Coca-Cola Ventures. And they're actually supporting startups and are looking for startups that are in their field of interest. Same is doing Nestle, for example. 2 or 3 days ago, they announced their new program, which is for R&D, and they're attracting startups with which to finance if they like their ideas. So this is just another pillar of the company that they are evolving, and they have the resources for that. We have a lot of plans for different spin-offs and different services that we're going to do. But first of all, the company should be really stable in order to take that risk and to defer.
Mm-hmm. So that will lead me to the next question, but go ahead, Ed.
I just wanted to share that Meteorox is a startup, but we are really working hard to become a university spin-off. In the sense that we are trying to attract scientists from the Bulgarian ecosystem. There are many great projects in the universities that just lie locked somewhere in, and nobody is using them. And this is really a big problem.
Let's go directly to this topic again. What do you think about universities and university spin-off? What are we missing it?
We are working with the Bulgarian Academy of Science, so we have very close contacts with quite a few faculties. And what's missing is, I think one thing is young, ambitious people who have the freedom to try and to fail.
Talent.
There is talent, there is freedom is lacking.
Hussein, you have more experience about it?
Well, personally, we don't have specific experience because we started with self-financing, and of course we received some small amount, but with high value for us support from the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. But well, being a university spin-off could offer some advantages to the companies, like using the facilities and the capacity of the institution. And maybe the question of the answer of the first question, it depends on the industry sector, because it depends on the energy and amount of the resources you need to reach the level of the MVP. Because once you have your prototype, your MVP, you can go for investment rounds. And being a spin-off, especially a university spin-off in this case, I think will be very, very beneficial. What is missing? The question. Maybe now the frame of this collaboration is missing, because there is, okay, very, very good examples of successful university spin-offs and very bad examples, because now at this point, everything depends on the persons from the side of the academia and from the sides of the company.
What do you think about the IP and the IP transfer?
Yeah, the IP transfer is one of the problems, because many of the entrepreneurs and the companies, they don't have they don't have very good definition of the distribution of the IPR after the collaboration with the university. And in some cases, this could be a stop.
Okay, it's a big hole, and I think it's a topic for everything. Yeah, Victor?
Yeah, I would like to add a few points here. Would that extend too much the conversation? I have experience previously in my career with University of Nottingham. I agree with you that it depends on the sector. In biotech, you have a lot of intellectual property tied in the project, and it all starts from there pretty much. But in clean tech, IT, and other sectors, that's not the case. But nevertheless, the problem with university spin-offs, the first problem I saw is that people don't understand the difference between scientific money and corporate money. They just don't get it in the beginning because they spent millions in IP, in biotech, they spent a few $100,000 in other sectors, and these are easy money. And then they try to commercialize something and they don't understand the difference between attracting this capital. That's the first thing. And the second is what yesterday evening I was at the event at ICT Hub in Varna, in May Varna Technical University. So they shared the same thing that I saw in other places in Europe. We are not unique in that, by the way. It's the connection between the business and the university.
It's another big topic.
Yeah.
Guys, online, I would like Hamel and Svetlina, if you would like to add something about the first question, the difference between regular startup and a spin-off startup, and the second question about the university. Now is the time before we go to the last question and we'll finish this panel.
Yeah, maybe I could just jump in there. So great question, by the way, because I'm speaking as CEO of a spin out, but I still consider myself a startup, right? Because we have, even though we have in name the backing of a very large university, in terms of crossing that chasm to go from research funding to corporate money, as someone just mentioned, we're still very tough, and you don't actually get that much assistance and support from the mother company, if you like, or the university. So in that respect, it's still, I think there's a lot that it can be done by universities to support their startups. I'm speaking to somebody who is an academic and has made that transition, and I can see the problems from the inside. There is literally nobody in the university ecosystem who is incentivized to make this happen, because everybody in there is not a stakeholder. Does that make sense?
It's your experience, and it's nice to hear that. Unfortunately, in Bulgaria, we don't have much of experience with spin-offs. This is the first conference that putting the stone for this process, and we hope to see more, especially in the university side. So thank you for this.
I can add something if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Well, fortunately, I have an overview in several universities in Bulgaria. First of all, my answer to your question is it depends on the university, because, for example, American University of Bulgaria is pretty agile and they're forward thinkers.
It's a good example of a university that works like a business.
Yeah, it's just a good example of the university. I'm a guest mentor there for the entrepreneurship program, and they're really connected with the business and what's happening. They have for example, workshops for how to do a startup and all that, how to raise finances. So American University of Bulgaria is a good example. New Bulgarian University, the advertising field, for example, is also connected with the business, so they're also a good example. And one of the bad examples are the governmental universities. I have a lot of connections in several of them, and one of them is the University of Food Technology, and I spoke with them 2 days ago, and we're going to see each other and think how to do some projects together.
Hopefully it's going to change your mind about
what they say is that they're really stagnant and really slow, and they're doing a lot of researches but in the university, and it's not connected with the business realm. So this is something that they tell about themselves, that they're just slow and not connected with what's happening out there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to give the last option to the panelists who didn't have a chance to answer. Svetlina, would you like to add anything about the topic?
Actually, I would like to present our product because I couldn't, now, so I'm waiting for you.
Did you find it?
Sorry?
Did you manage to share it? We don't see you.
No, I cannot share it. It's a problem
Okay,
with your
tell us about
system.
this. Describe it for us.
Yes, but it's actually like this makes no sense. I'm going to send you again the presentation so you can share it with the participants, because it's actually a product which is already on the market. It's compactor. It's our
What is a
innovation
compactor?
with the Technical University. Compactor of trash. It actually can compact the volume of trash 7 times. It looks like a standard bin. But it's automated, and yeah, I would like you
Thank
to
you,
share.
Svetlana. We are sorry for the technical issue to show it. We'll sure follow you up and see this product. So I would like to summarize this panel and what we've talked about. First, there was a topic here by Miroslav that says it doesn't really change if you work for a startup or a company. It's more affects your company is what's your company policies, structure, processes, and the freedom that they give to the startup. Then we talk about funding. That should be a key by Victor, should be a key. Who is your partner? Rather, it's a company or an angel or VC. And we finish with the universities and your experience with working with the university of some of you. And this might be the key future for all of the spin-off economy in Bulgaria, in my opinion. I think you agree. So thank you very much for this panel. And thank you very much for participating. Thanks to the startups, and hope to see you succeeding.
Okay, thank you. Quite intense discussion, quite interesting outcome. I think that we are on one opinion. And the best thing that actually we find out which are the gaps and which are the topics that we're supposed to work as an ecosystem in order to resolve and to achieve the great mission 100 spin-off till 2030. So thank you of being on the first edition of Spin-off Bulgaria. Actually, the interest and people that call us and wanted to know more and to be part of the initiative make us to think and look into the future. So save the date. The next edition of the Spin-off Bulgaria will be on 22nd and 23rd of June 2023. So even a new date. We have a new date. Also, I want to thank these amazing people that supporting me all the time, because as you see, it was quite informative event. It was a lot of excellence and very inspirational speakers. Probably some of you is wondering why so many information, why so tight time, but the idea was to make the scratch and of course going deeper. I want to special thanks, of course, Emil Shkirjisky, our startup inspirator in Bulgaria for many years, and you see his skills for his event. He's making a pitch-to-pitch event at every 11 of the month. So find us, searching for us, and I promise you more and more startups and good initiative coming up from his side. Of course, Kaloyan Rachev, who's big applause. As you see that he was amazing by supporting me with moderating a different panel, but also a very hard work before, during the event. So thank you, Kaloyan. And of course, Dimitar, you didn't see him a lot here on the stage, but for sure everybody see him to hardly work outside. So thank you, Dimitar. Of course, I want to thank to Agency for Small and Medium Enterprises who supporting us, who believe in us in this idea. I want to special thanks to each of the partners who were supporters of the initiative. As I mentioned, a lot of more interesting edition will come after now. Even for the last 2 days, we find out at least 4 working groups, 7 events to be planned. So yeah, hard work just started. Just before to closure the event, I want to make a special announcement from today. we're starting, of course, to searching the best spin-off in Bulgaria. It's a contest that we will count on you, on your interest, your inspirational, your network, to find out who is the best example for the spin-offs in Bulgaria, and of course to spread the good practices. From 1st of October, on the website www.spinoff.bg, you will find information about the contest, what we expect to see, and of course we are open to take any of ideas that could be bring. And I want to special thanks also to Svetlina Penkova. For the first time in my history, 22 years of events, I see the representative of the European Commission to stand next to us all day, to being part of every discussion. So this makes me really positive. And yeah, okay, it's time to closure the event. Thank you a lot. It was a pleasure to being your host, and see you very soon. Thank you.